Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us. We are brought to you by Russell & Associates and coming to you from the 111 Riverfront Building, the Latch Development Center in downtown Winona. Time now to talk softball, believe it or not, with head coach Greg Jones. You know, snow on the outside, but softball and baseball coming up here. In fact, you've already started your season down in Florida and off later this week to different places as well. Mm-hmm. But before we get to that, and thank you for doing another season of the show, we got to talk a few numbers because this season already you've reached a milestone, which is 900 wins. I'm going to throw a couple numbers at you. I know this is your very favorite part of doing this show, but some of these you know and maybe some you don't know. You are now the 13th winningest active coach in Division II college softball, 27th all-time in Division II, and if you take NCAA Division I, Division II, Division III, all-time, you are the 88th all-time winningest coach in college softball. Hearing that number, what does that say to you?
That's impressive. That means I've been very fortunate, and I, the one thing I can say, I've had a lot of people reach out since hitting 900, and a couple things come to mind. First, how blessed I am to be able to do it as long as I've been able to do it, but more than anything, the level of play that we've had and been able to sustain means we've had great players, great coaches, great support. And I know that can sound kind of like a canned answer, but I don't think you can do what we've done for as long as we've done without really great people being involved in all of this. And I have a big role that I get to play as the head coach, but a very small role so far as the on-field success. Yeah. And we don't make much of a difference in the third base coach's box on game day. I mean, you send a kid here or there, or you call a bunt here or there, but on game day it's really the kids that are playing, and so the program has won a lot since I've been here. But I've been very blessed to be around the program this long, that Winona State has allowed me to be around it this long, to have great assistant coaches that do so much work in the background. And the longer I've done this, the more I realize I'm becoming the CEO and my coaches are doing the coaching. And so I'm very blessed to have a great coaching staff and a great support network, but even better, just great kids and great players.
And this season, one of your assistant coaches is former player, Allie Nowak, who was one of the all-time greats at Winona State. What was it like to be able to get her? Because I know that she's been doing some graduate work here at Winona State.
Yeah, very fortunate. And she called me in the summer, and it's like one of those things, you remember where you were when. And it was just kind of an out-of-the-blue phone call. She had been in St. Cloud State. Was GAing up there, and we'd gotten that set up for her, and she was excited to have that opportunity, and she just wanted to come back. And I said, well, I don't have any money. And she said, I'm coming to school there. I just want to know, can I help coach? Absolutely. And so she's doing it free of charge, which is unbelievable, because she gave up a paying job to get this one, but she's been amazing. And it's always interesting having former players coach, and because to me they're just players, they're just our kids, and they're all, everybody I've ever coached is still 20 years old, and so now to have her be an adult, and it took a little while for me to kind of get used to that version of Al, and now I just love it. She's been phenomenal.
It's always said, it's like kind of the cliche that, if you were a great player, sometimes that doesn't translate into coaching. But what does she bring to the program? Because, I mean, she hit consistently 400 or above during her softball career. What has she been able to teach the rest of the players?
Yeah, what's great about that, because that can be very true, but Al was a self-made hitter, and that's what she's been able to bring. She really worked hard at the craft of hitting, and she studied hitting. And she's continuing to study hitting, and so she can really get into the weeds with our kids and the minutia, where a lot of times what we're doing offensively in practice, because we have 18 to 20 kids, we got to get through in an hour to an hour and a half. We're kind of just herding cattle, where she can really stop, have conversations with them, break the game down for them in a way that's different than what we can regularly do without that type of help. And first of all, because she's also an extra body now, what we're not used to having, but she's just really knowledgeable about the craft as well.
Okay, let's talk a little preseason. Abby Halas was named 2023 NSIC Preseason Player of the Year, which is quite an honor. Tell us a little bit about that. Obviously, we talked about her last year and how she was going to be able to be a big contributor this year and next year as well. What was that like to be able to have that award come in?
I was really happy for Abby. I thought it was well deserved. I wasn't overly surprised by it. Looking at what was back this year in the league, figuring she was one of the top 10 players in the league probably. And she does it in so many different ways, as a pitcher, as a position player, as a hitter, as a leader, as a team player, all of that kind of stuff. So I was really excited for Abby. The one thing, obviously, as coaches, what we do is we worry, and then you worry about that. Now, are you going to chase a ghost? Are you trying to accomplish something because of this award and accolade? But like a lot of our other really great kids that we've had, Abby's gotten there because she's a hard worker. She didn't just land at the top of the mountain, and so she's continued just to work at her craft, and she got there because of that work, and she's continuing to put the same amount of work in, even though she was honored with that at the beginning of the year, which is great to see.
All right, and coming into the season, you lost a lot due to graduation, offensively and pitching, with Liz Potts going away, and then Sam Keller left, and you had Kayla Kirkman and Riley Stout and Ann Smolenski. Yeah. So you lost a lot, but what's amazing in your program is that you just continue to reload and players step up. So what were you expecting at the beginning of the year, and what have you seen so far?
It's been opposite. I was the most concerned about our pitching and the most comfortable with our offense. As we've gotten through the start of our first 20-ish games now, it's been the opposite. I'm feeling better about our pitching, and I'm concerned about our hitting. Not that we're not hitting, we're just leaving a lot of people on base, and we're not driving the ball, we're not hitting the ball for power, which I think will come. That's part of the evolution and the growth. It's a young team. It's as close as we've probably been to a rebuild in a lot of years, just because of the volume that we lost. But it's my favorite team to coach. Not necessarily this team, but this type of team. I love this type of team. The team that everybody else from the outside looks at what we don't have, I get to look at what we do have. And what we lack in experience, we're going to make up for in toughness. What we may lack in talent, we're going to make up for in grit and grind. And these are my favorite type of teams to coach, when everybody is expecting you to be down, and then you can come out and be up. And it's a challenge every day. There's a lot of growth that has to happen with that, but they're up for it, and they're really bought into what we're trying to do, and we've been able to have some success so far.
Okay, yeah, 15-6 so far in your first 21 games that you played. I do have to ask a tough question, because you faced 3 top 25 teams in the preseason, and you haven't scored a run against any of those. However, you played number 1 Rogers State, which was a very close game, and you guys were in it until like the very end, when Rogers put in a couple runs to win 3-0. How did you feel about facing Rogers State, and what did you see from the team in that one?
I think all 3 of those games that you reference are really good measuring sticks for us, and that's kind of how we've gone about this process. Is let's use that as kind of the litmus test to see where we are. We're winning the games that we're supposed to win. What we have to do, what we've got to do to get over that hump, is we got to start beating teams that are better than us, and we know that. And that, what I've been the most pleased with, again, goes back to the pitching. We're still always going to be a pitching and defensive team, and I believe we're still doing that. Our formula is get to 4 and we win. We've just got to find a way to get to 4. I thought that was going to be easier. I kind of thought the formula was going to change this year. I thought, okay, get to 5 or 6 and we win. The formula is right there for us. Like the Rogers game, if we score 4, we win 4-3.
Right.
And and then the game against Embry-Riddle here at the end was right there for us. We got beat 4-3, but if we get to 4, we probably win that game. And so again, we've got to find a way to beat tough pitching. We've got to move runners. We've got to get runners on. We've got to get that big hit. And I don't know that we need 5 or 6 more hits. We need 1 or 2 hits in the right place. That's going to come with confidence and opportunity. And so those games have been really good measuring sticks for us. We haven't quite measured up yet, but I think we can get there. Early on last year, we weren't a very good softball team either, and we figured it out by the end.
Do you like the fact that you played really tough competition early on to kind of tell you, hey, this is where we need to be? I mean, we can win games against lesser teams. We can win games in the conference, but when it comes towards the end of the season and we have to face some really, really tough teams out there, you've seen them already.
Yeah, and that was the plan going in. We knew we were young. We knew we were inexperienced. So we knew we had two choices. Either put an easy schedule together and kind of fake it till you make it and get them winning even if they didn't think they were tough games, or let's challenge them. And we chose to make a challenging schedule early for two reasons. One, just what you're saying. So by the end, when we get in those games, we've been there before. And two, I kind of wanted to constantly use it as that measuring stick. And I just wanted to expose them to, this is what it is. And we're going to have to get it done. And it'll be a tough weekend again this weekend. We got some tough games and a tough schedule and tough elements to play in. And so it's continuing to try to push that envelope to see where they're at.
Yeah, you're off to Kansas now for a couple of games. What do you expect to see in those games?
Yeah, I think it's first of all, we have never in my history played well after the weekend after Florida. It's just a tough turnaround. You just kind of get in game mode. Then you got to get them back in practice mode, and then you go play in bad weather when you've been playing in great weather. It's always been a tough weekend for us. This is no different, and it's a little bit different. We're playing on two different campuses. We play at Pitt State, then we go to Missouri Southern, then we come back to Pitt State. Just a little different setup. So there's some unique challenges to it. So again, what I'm really looking for isn't wins and losses. I'm still trying to look at this growth thing. This for us has always been about where are we in May, not where are we in February and March. And this holds true. It's really about how we play, not how we do. And so I'm hoping that we continue to be present, be where our feet are, play really well, compete like crazy, and try to be there at the end of the game.
Has there been a game so far this year where you've seen what the potential is and you've liked the outcome, not only on the scoreboard but on the field as well?
Yeah, I think the Lewis game was that first big one where we were playing a team that was, what we've done is so far, we've played a lot of coin flip games, what I call, that we're playing a lot of teams that are the same as us. Mm-hmm. And we've been on the positive end of almost all of those games, which has been really nice. We've given away some games that we probably should have won. But that Lewis game was a good one because they came out, pitched really well. We scored 3 early, and then we just hung on like crazy. The Embry-Riddle game was one that I felt like was probably, without the outcome, the best we've played. I thought that was a game that was right there for us to win. We gave it back in the bottom of the 7th, which was hard, but I think we had to get there too. Sometimes you got to lose those games to learn how to win them. The Lewis game was, and there was one in Chicago. Again, Saginaw Valley, which was a regional team last year that we won a one-run game. Those were probably the two biggest wins we've had against really high-end teams, that we got the result we wanted and the play we wanted. And so it's there. You can see it in them. What we've got to start to do now is play at that level all the time. We're still tending to play comfortable at the level of the team we're at, and so that's part of the growth.
All right, last question. We got about a minute left in this segment. Are you starting to get nervous when you look outside and you keep seeing snowstorms? I am.
We had a nice February, which scared me, and because we were outside a lot in February, and I said, man, I hope this holds. And so I'm hoping the old in like a lion, out like a lamb thing in March. So I'm very nervous about getting fields ready this time of year, because once you start playing, it's hard to sit. So I'm hoping that we can get fields ready and get going.
All right. Well, as you were talking to me off camera, you're not home until April, so but you do have games in Iowa and Sioux Falls coming up after the Kansas, so hopefully you'll be able to get those in. So good luck in Kansas.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We're going to take a break here on the Warrior Report. When we come back, we'll talk baseball with head coach Seth Wing right after this.
For over 60 years, Russell & Associates has been helping individual and business clients achieve what matters to them. Our trusted advisors have the expertise and experience to help with long-term plans for personal finance, business finance, or wealth management. Focus on what matters most. Call Russell & Associates Certified Public Accountants and Advisors today at 507-452-3100 or visit us online at russellcpafirm.com.
I'm a pretty calm, cool, and collective guy, but... Sorry, what's your name? Yeah, Evan. Hi, Evan. Yeah, we have no internet. Nothing. I don't know. It just stopped working.
The internet is down.
I know, I'm on the phone with them. No, that was my wife.
I can't get online again.
Yeah, I'm talking to Evan. No, my daughter, my wife. Okay, can you guys not talk? Sorry. Yes, we have the white boxes. I see one. They got horns on them.
The one with the horns.
Yes, I see one. We have 11 of those.
I was on the phone and I got disconnected.
Okay, it's not about you. We switched our broadband service provider. Devin put in 11, Evan. How are we supposed to know which one's 7 and which one?
I thought it was Devin.
Who's Devin?
I got no service. Honey, you're blocking.
You can't stand there. You're blocking it. Don't block it. And the best part? I never have to speak to Evan or Devin ever again.
I think this one's 11.
11. We're not looking for 11. No, are we looking for 7, Evan, or 11? We have 2 next to each other. That's bad. 2 white boxes. Evan.
Meet Jenny Siseski of Edina Realty. With nearly 30 years' experience, she knows that right now is the best time to sell your home. Jenny will help you get top dollar, higher than ever before. With today's low interest rates, it's time to upgrade your home and increase its value. High demand and low inventory also make this a perfect time to list your home. Call for a free market analysis. Contact Jenny Siseski at Edina Realty today, 507-458-7038.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. We are brought to you by Russell & Associates and coming to you from the 111 Riverfront Building, the Latch Development Center in downtown Winona. Time now to talk Warrior Baseball, and Warrior Baseball has a new head coach, and that's Seth Wing. Seth Wing was a football player and a baseball player in his undergraduate time here at Winona State, and when his baseball playing days were done, he joined the staff of Kyle Polk, stayed here until 2011 when the Warriors went for a national championship in North Carolina, finished a runner-up. After that, he went to Cornell College in Iowa, where he eventually became the all-time winningest head coach and was also the athletic director for a couple of years there before coming back to Winona State. And with all of that, we welcome Seth Wing to the program. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So with all of that, one of the things that you had said in your welcome to the program was that it was a professional, lifelong goal to be the head coach here at Winona State. Why was that? Why is this so special for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the success that we had when I was Kyle's assistant just really made this feel like home. And the history of this program with Coach Grob, Coach Polk, to be the third head coach since 1966 just is an honor. It's a dream come true. Winona State's special to me. I have met my wife here, lifelong friends from my time here as an undergrad and also an employee at Winona State. And it's just something that when the opportunity came and Coach Polk announced his retirement, I was just pulled to daily. And I wasn't sure at the moment. Just being the athletic director at Cornell had a lot of good things going for my family and for Cornell College. But I just kept getting pulled every day and eventually made the decision. And when we got through the interview process and I was lucky enough to get the job offered, I could not pass it up. It was the right time, right place, and I haven't regretted it for 1 minute.
Well, you bring something up that's really interesting too, because you played under Coach Grob, you coached with Kyle Polk, and as you said, since 1966, 67, there's been this, only a couple of players or only a couple of coaches, but you have this unique connection to both of them.
Correct.
And then it continues through you. I mean, does that just kind of blow your mind that consistency was there and now you're a part of that?
It really does, and that's why this is so special. And to build on the legacies that have already been built here, and having a little bit of Coach Grob and a little bit of Coach Polk, and then myself. And I think between having a little bit of it all will help me in the long run, certainly. And I want to pave my own path. I don't necessarily want to be in the shadow of either of those coaches, but I will respect everything that they've done and honor it and just work extremely hard for our student athletes to get this to a consistent championship level.
All right. Well, you obviously did that at Cornell,
Yes.
setting your own pace because, as we said, you're the all-time winningest coach there. What were some of the highlights there in Cornell?
Yeah, we finished the 2019 season conference champions, went to the NCAA tournament for the first time in school history in the baseball program. And to do something for the first time in school history is pretty special. A great group of guys that my time there culminated there. And then, of course, 2020 COVID hit. The AD job came upon, and just really the baseball program unfortunately took a step back the last year, but I knew this year was going to be a special year for Cornell College baseball. They're off to a great start. They've got an awesome group, and I left that place a lot better than what it was. When we were in the national championship in 2011, Cornell was 3-29. So it was a total rebuild.
Yeah.
And taking that, it was very humbling, but it just was an opportunity that I knew I needed to take, and it was close to my family. So there's a lot of pros to taking the job, but but certainly, culminating with that conference championship and getting the NCAA regional for the first time in school history.
Okay, so you get the job here at Winona State, and you don't have a whole lot of turnover from last season to this season.
Correct.
So the team is pretty much set. What did you have to learn about this team and about this program again to take over as head coach and kind of decide how you're going to put your stamp on this?
Right. Well, it starts with building relationship with your student athletes. And so I set aside about 30 minutes my first 2 weeks on the job each with every player on the roster. Talk to them about, hey, what's going well for you at Winona State? What do you love about Winona State University? Why are you there? And then also, what would you like to see different? So it's really taking all of the answers of the players and forming my plan. And so once I got that established, and it was very clear, every player from Coach Polk's classes over the last 3-4 years that was returning talked about the relationships, talked about the culture was wonderful. And as I told Coach Polk, I'm like, thank you. You did the hard part, which is having a great culture and a bunch of good guys. And certainly that is the hard part when you're building a program. But that was already there. And now it's getting them to trust me and buy into my system, which is certainly going to have some differences to what Coach was doing. But I think we're off to, getting that process is starting and the system is in place. And now it's just going to take some time. But I think we're heading in the right direction.
How would you describe yourself as a coach?
Yeah.
I mean, what are your fundamentals? What are the things that you want to impress upon players?
Yeah, and my thing, what I told the guys, what I'm going to bring to the table is going to be structure. It's going to be accountability. It's going to be work ethic. I want to be there in the crazy world that we live in today in 2023. I want to be a constant resource for them. I want to be a constant presence for them that is enjoyable. And that they trust and come to. So if I can provide that daily structure, that daily accountability, that daily motivation, then I think the rest will take care of itself. I am very similar to Coach Polk in a sense where player development, we're going to put the process in place, but they have to put in the daily work and hold themselves accountable. So and my recruiting philosophy is going to be finding guys that absolutely love the game of baseball. And if they have that power and desire, and then I can recruit the highest level players that have that, will go a long ways.
I know that at the end of last season, Coach Polk was a little frustrated because they were so close to being a really good team, and part of that was hitting because they only had one player that hit over 300, and that was Carter Brinkman, who was at 301. Yeah. So there were problems in moving runners over and scoring runners in. But now it's changed a little bit. The batting average is up a little bit. I think as a team, they hit 246 last season. This year, you're around 270, 275. What do you think has changed?
Yeah. So it's something that I've worked on. I looked at those stats. It's the first thing that I did, and I brought that up to the players. And we've been consistent in what we're working on since the day that I've got here. And we worked on it through November, all the way till Thanksgiving. We were really hammering home an approach and a mindset. I looked at the strikeout numbers, and I challenged the guys that they have to put the ball in play. The one thing that I feel that Coach Polk, he wanted to recruit some big, strong guys that could hit the ball to the park, and he would wait and let that happen. But in my philosophy is, with our weather, the wind, the things that we're up against, the inconsistencies that you're going to have offensively, we have to be able to put the ball in play and put pressure on it. And if you look at our stolen bases, we've already got 22 stolen bases as a team. I think in all 40 games last year, they had 30-some. So my goal is that we still steal 80 to 100 bases this year. And so just constant pressure, a mindset that is aggressive, we want that. And Coach Polk was really about building up pitch counts, was being selective, where my philosophy is going to be attack mode, 0-0 counts. So it's just slightly different, but the guys have bought in, and obviously some guys are having their ups and downs and maybe just struggling with my mindset and that approach, and we'll work through that, but we'll be consistent with them, and I know that we'll produce offensively.
All right, let's talk about this season. Kind of got off to a rough start against Drury in Missouri. What did you learn in those first couple of games that will help you along this season? Yeah,
this has been a unique time, just given that I had never seen these guys play, and I've been mixing and matching. If you were to go through our first 14 games which we've played and look at the lineups, you're probably not going to have any one of the same. So we're playing a lot of guys. We're trying to figure it out. One thing that we're really working through right now is our pitching. We have some upperclassmen injuries. So I'll use and this is very similar to the Drewer series, but I can explain it much better with our trip to St. Louis.
Okay.
Our game one starter, Cam Kramer, was a scratch in warm-ups. He had an oblique strain during the warm-ups. Our game two starter, Peter Twitty, who's a really good pitcher, he's had his struggles early on, and so he didn't get out of the first inning. Our game three starter was Kyle Gendron, who's coming off an injury from the past. We're really slow pairing it. We were just going to have him be an opener, throw 2 innings, and then move on to our bullpen. Well, he was a scratch. And then our game four starter Bailey Banazinski, he's very much a regular pitcher and has been, but he's coming off some arm injuries. And so it only pitched 2 1/3 innings. So if you take that 4-game series, our starting pitcher's got three innings worth of outs. That's not going to win you many ball games, but it is allowing our pitchers to develop. It's giving opportunities to players to step up. And so we're seeing that, and it's going to come. It's just taking some time given the pitching struggles that we've had from just the injury bug. These guys have worked really hard. The guys that are hurt are 4th and 5th year guys. And so we've got a good arm care plan in place for these guys that are in the program now, but obviously the recruits coming in, so we don't have these issues here in 2 to 3 years.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because obviously the game has changed
Yeah.
since you were a player, but you've
Yeah.
been a coach all this way, so you've seen it happen. But what is your thought on pitching? And you have openers. I mean, you've kind of been forced into that
Yes.
situation because
Yep.
of injuries. But how do you feel about starting pitchers only pitching 1 or 2 and then going with long relievers?
Yeah, it's something that I think we're trying to protect pitchers too in the long haul. And you'll see some programs, they're going to go out there and run their number one out there, have them throw 115, 120 pitches in the first few weeks of the season. We're going to limit them to 50 or 60 or 70. We want them to be great in May. And if we're going to win championships, they have to be feeling good in May. So it is a little bit of a slow play. It can get frustrating because our competitive spirit's like, we want to go and win. But I do think in the long term, it's going to help our players feel very good and healthy. And I think it is a new trend, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I think that's the way that we have to do it.
All right. You talked about how you kind of mix and match players in different positions and that. How close are you to a set lineup?
Yeah.
Do you have it yet?
I think so. As I told the guys, my goal for the spring break trip was clarity, and so I think we have some clarity now. And so we are heading down to Mount Mercy University. We've moved that game to Wednesday. It's supposed to be 50-plus degrees down there in Cedar Rapids. They have a beautiful turf field. I think the plan will be to run that Duluth series lineup out there, and I feel very good. We still probably have a couple battles going on. But instead, going into Florida, I felt like we had 3 positions secured. Now we have 7 or 8. So it's close.
I know that you as the head coach have to do a lot of work on the field, not only with the players, but actually work on the field because we talked with Coach Polk about that quite a bit. March 18th is supposed to be your first home game against Minnesota Duluth, and we look outside and there's a lot of snow out there. What does the field look like? Do you think you'll be able to get those games in?
Right, and that's honestly what I've been doing all morning today is figuring out a backup plan, which it does not look like we'll get our first 3 games against University of Minnesota Duluth this upcoming weekend and here, or our game against University of Minnesota Crookston doubleheader on the 22nd. Most likely will not be played here. Just unrealistic given the how saturated the field will be once the snow melts. So I've been working all morning, site to be determined.
Okay.
We'll keep you posted.
Okay.
These games, in my mind, will get played. It's just a matter of where. Right now, the temperatures are looking like Sunday, Monday against University of Minnesota Duluth, and then either Tuesday or Wednesday versus University of Minnesota Crookston. So we'll get those 5 home openers in somewhere else, but we'll be the home team and ready to go.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us here today, and good luck on the games that are coming up. And we can't wait to talk more Warrior baseball next week.
Thank you. Appreciate the support and the coverage of our student athletes.
All right. Thank you very much, and thank you for watching the Warrior Report. We'll see you next time here on HBC TV 25.